Renee, Banana Tail, and Tic Tac are all best friends. They live on the amazing Oops and Ouch Island. And there must be a fucking cat or some shit there. I swear to God on my life, ladies and gentlemen, but this is the questionnaire. Yeah, if it's the questionnaire, I am the unknown factor, aka that Wade Wilson of hip hop. But like I said on the interview, this shit ain't about hip hop. It's about comic books. That doesn't mean I might not lace in some madness because I frankly can't help it, right? I just can't. But today on the show, we got Randy Nunley on the house, man. What's up?
Hey, how you doing, man? Thanks
Man,
for having me.
you got so much motherfucking background noise, it is crazy.
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
You like
Do I?
you
I got. There's a TV going on in the next room. Do we need to turn it off?
I don't know, maybe that's what it is, dude. I swear to God, I hear people. I hear like so much shit,
Yeah.
Randy. I don't even know.
Hang on.
What the fuck's going on over your house, Randy? You killing people?
On the snowball. It just took me a minute to figure out how to disable the
Look,
one.
look, we're back, and I don't want to talk about snowballs, bro. This ain't Clerks. We ain't got nobody related to Kevin Smith on right now, though we have in the past. Check their interviews. Chrissy, you know what I'm saying? Chris McDonald, check them out. They both worked on several of the things that Kevin Smith's got coming out through Dark Horse, through his Secret Stash imprint, as well as Andrew Thomas, who's lettered bloody well most of it. Shout out to all of them. I about said both until I realized there was three. But we're back with Randy after he fixed his snowball problem. Do you get the reference, Randy?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I'm so sorry. I'm still getting my crap together over here.
Fair enough, man. I
I'm
just
good now.
wanted to. Excuse me. I just wanted to make sure you caught the snowball reference, man. I didn't know you'd ever watch Clerks or not. You know what I mean?
Oh
Yeah.
gosh, it's been a long time, but yeah.
You don't forget the snowball reference, though. Let's be real honest. All right.
So, man, the only thing I can remember from Clerks was the guy, the gym rat, talking about the weight of the milk jugs. That's really about the only thing I think I can remember from that show.
You need to go watch Clerks again, man. You really really do, Randy. And I'm gonna have to figure out where the hell we're just gonna start this show back. But it's already started because that's what we do, and I don't rightly give a damn, man. Again, this is Randy in the house. Who's done a number of things, but he only let me read one because he's rude.
Well, there's a good reason for that. I actually don't have access to any of that anymore. Right? Like everything that I had was stored locally on a computer that burned to death in a house fire like some years ago. So
wait. Why did you not at some point? Because I would assume there are other people that have these things, right?
Yeah, but they've been awful hard to find, and the truth be told, it's been a little while. So yeah, I worked in comics in the early 2000s, and I've been on kind of a long hiatus from that, and as got married, been raising kids, and so I'm kind of just now getting back into it.
That's intriguing, Randy. Let's dive a little deeper into that. So, what did you work on previously, man, as far as before your long hiatus?
A lot of what I worked on was like gaming, like RPG gaming books, and like Mongoose OGL. I did a whole bunch of those, and I worked on Grim Fairy Tales and Forgotten Realms, Starless Nights for Devil's Due Publishing. Back in the day, I did a number of those as a penciler and as an inker.
With what happened, which my condolences for that house fire. That would suck. I couldn't imagine just losing everything I'm in the middle of. It would. Yeah.
It was my whole body of work. It was all gone.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about just losing everything I'm in the middle of from the 6 episodes of this I got to edit. They're out now, just so y'all know. If you're watching this, you can already watch everything I'm talking about. But as far as all the music I'm in the middle of, I don't know if that's all out yet because that's a whole different freaking process as far as getting things out. But I can only imagine, man. Was it something about that house fire that made you take a hiatus, or was it just life in itself?
I mean, The timing of it was really bad because this happened like I was really just starting to take off and get somewhere. But when the house burned down, this happened almost at the same time as the Great Recession hit, and like a number of the clients that I was working for, they kind of like a lot of these companies just kind of tanked like all of a sudden. And I had I just lost everything, but I had thousands of dollars in invoices out to some of these other companies, and suddenly they couldn't pay either. Because it was a recession, like they were going under too. And so yeah, that put such a bad taste in my mouth though that I walked away from comics and gaming illustration for years and years. And eventually, I just kind of fell into just being with my family, raising my kids, and working the day to day.
What made you decide to put your foot back into that pond?
Well, about a year ago, my oldest son turned 17, and I realized that, or my youngest son turned 17, rather, and we're going to be empty nesters pretty soon. I'm going to have a lot more time, and I don't know. I don't want to go crazy because my kids aren't here anymore, So it seemed like a good time to, get my feet wet again.
That's intriguing, man. So how is it you find that doing that now? I mean, because I've got a 4-year-old. Plus, I've got my regular ass job. Plus, I do this show. Plus, I make music as much as I can. Check out an upcoming album by my brother, Mistah DKB, the other half of Kill Factory, man. I'm featured on like 4 tracks, I think. It's pretty dope. But if it ever blows up, I swear our music will get us killed. But that's neither here nor there. You can't call for a or call for a coup and sit there and say that the churches are all pieces of shit. And by that I mean all the churches, and things like this, and not attract some attention that you really don't want. But I mean, I know balancing all of that is a pain in the ass, right? To put it lightly, man. To make sure that I've got shows coming out on a regular basis, and for everybody that noted that moment where there weren't, my bad, I was out of power for 5 days. If for anyone that is in Indiana during the period that I'm referring to, right before July 4th, I hope everyone's okay and did okay, and I haven't heard of any fatalities. It was rough. Um, but between, I mean, just, random incidences like that, and then, having to make sure the kids are okay, having to go to your normal job, and then having to pencil, man, how did you find a balance?
Just, I've been working like as a commercial artist, like this whole time. So I've got a lot of time, just like doing it in a professional capacity. And so you develop a really strong mental sense of like how to work through jobs, get them done on time. And we're also like when you're doing like comics on the side, you're not really constrained to like deadlines like you might be doing your interviews. You have to be here at X time. But I can draw a comic book at 3 a.m. if I want. I can kind of pick and choose what times I'm going to work on it.
I mean, I get that, and it is the fact of everything else I do for the show as far as promotion, which I suck at. Nothing but honest, man. I am the unknown factor. But in the editing process and all of that, making reels and blah 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 on this, it is something that I can do on my own time. The only thing that is specifically has to be done during a certain time, as far as what I do with the questionnaire and with my music, is specifically the interviews, because I can't just randomly, hey man, come do an interview now, like especially when I'm bringing, when I'm bringing on like Fred Kennedy, head of their ant host, like some of the past guests that we've had on. I'm not expecting. I don't expect Jim Valentino to like come to me at a whim and do an hour interview. If if it ever gets to that point, that's all I got to say about that. Right, just be like, Jim, you free? Yeah, man. Then apparently I don't think I have a normal job at that point, to be real honest. But is there anything else as far as just, I mean, because in doing comics, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
don't you wear yourself out doing that?
Oh yeah, yeah, you really do, and you have to. This is the first like independent comic that I worked on, and so there's just like a whole lot of drawing, and you're doing all the drawing and all the inking, but I'm also doing all the lettering, and I'm co-writing it, and with Dean. And I know that like if you don't take some time for yourself and take care of yourself, you have consequences. I think I lost 10 pounds working on this comic book. Because you come home from work and you sit down at the desk and you get to drawing, and the next thing you know, it's 2 a.m. and you got to get back up and be at work at 7 a.m. again, and you haven't eaten in 3 days. So yeah, you have to remember to take care of yourself.
Don't worry about my whiskey problem.
It doesn't look like a problem. You look great at it.
Thank you. I do my best. I don't know if you check a couple episodes on the questionnaire, though. You might disagree with that. You might be like, dude, he got a little fuckered up on that one. And I did, whatever, I ain't gonna lie. Right, but the book you're referring to is Cosmo Natalia. Now, man, I hate to do this.
All right.
But after an interview we had that won't air, right? Because apparently Warren the gentleman wasn't happy with the interview. Because it was the first time that Dave came on and co-hosted, which you can catch him every month on This Month in Comics with me, talking about this month's releases. And, the dude wasn't very verbal, and it was more me and Dave chatting, right? So you will never see the episode I'm referring to. I'm not going to mention any names because I don't remember the guy's name. Oh, shit.
Oh, no.
Right? You think I care? Really? I'm sorry, bro. I do hip-hop. Right? But I was very cordial with this gentleman, even though the comic in question, and if he ever watches this, he's going to be like, fuck that guy. Hey, that's fine, bro. I run No Fucks Given Records. I'm half of the guys that do that. I don't care. It was terribly atrocious. And so after that, I decided if something about a comic picks my brain in a way that I don't like, I'm going to bring it up, right? Now, I see you going, oh, shit, what's this guy about?
Here it comes.
Right. It was a very well-written comic. I appreciated it, man. I think it was good. It was a good story. My only nitpick with it is why you got parentheses saying translated from Russian, and then
oh my gosh,
like you've got them speaking with Russian accents, speaking English, and I do not. It kind of, to be honest, it kind of took me out of the story, man. I feel like if you would have said translated from Russian in those instances, and then had it to where it was transcripted to where it was just a normal sentence.
Right. Well, there's a couple places too where there's like Russian words mixed in with the English words. And putting the brackets around it with the translated in Russian, that's like something we thought about. And like the version of the book that you've read, like it is like a work in progress version. So like we haven't really like spell checked it or edited it. And there's also 6 more pages as part of the stretch goal that are getting added. So I mean, it's perfectly reasonable that might actually make it into the final version, and it is something that Dean and I have talked about. So I'm glad you mentioned it, because I was like, we're definitely going to do it now.
I say that as an avid comic book reader, man. I've read comics literally since I can remember. There was a stretch in my life for probably about 5 years where I didn't. But short of that, I read comics. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and list you everything I've read, because that would be the whole fucking show, and that's not the point of the show. But just sincerely, that particular thing about that comic, it kind of took me out of the story. Like it really did. I felt like if you'd have said translated from Russian, and that's what it was, which I've seen in so many comics, translated from whatever the hell.
It makes sense. It's a good criticism, and it's it's the kind of thing that sometimes things don't seem very important until somebody else actually says something about it, and then you're like, oh yeah, I've got to do it now.
Yeah, I mean, it was just, like I said, and I don't know what it was about it, and it's probably because I've read so many comics in my lifetime that have had those moments. I mean, if I really thought about it, I could list them out, but I don't bloody well care to again. But I just, it made it feel I don't even know the word. It just made it feel not as potent as I felt like it had the possibility to be.
Okay.
You know, like I
Yeah,
feel like.
yeah. That
Go
that
ahead.
point of disengagement, that you get, like once you get kind of taken out of something, it's like watching a big budget movie with really bad special effects in it. And you're just kind of like, man, it's a rubber suit. I don't like that.
Well, yeah, and especially since like some of the curse words that were thrown in there, and you were trying to put like you were typing it out the way that it would have been pronounced by someone that was Russian but knew English. You know,
Hmm.
like just things like
Yeah.
that, man. It was slightly off-putting to me in the fact because I'm like she's sitting there talking to a bunch of Russians, and she's from Russia.
Hmm.
Why in the hell is she not speaking Russian? You know, like. And I know there are movies where this has been an issue too, where it's like, why I can't think of any of the movies off the top of my head. If anybody's watching, comment. But yeah, it's just that's the one main point I got for y'all, man. Is make that shit translated from Russian and just type it out in regular English.
Well,
I
is
really think it'll be helpful.
as a counterpoint, like I'd point you at the movie Valkyrie, where you got a bunch of guys that are German speaking with German accents in English, except for Tom Cruise, who just didn't bother with the accent at all.
Well, that's why I don't think I've ever even watched that movie.
I didn't either, actually, but I've seen clips of it.
Right? I mean, really, man. If you want to get into movies, you want to talk Moulin Rouge. Oh my God,
Oh, I hate that movie so much.
why?
Uh, because it got cleaned up at the Oscars, which like I didn't mind most of it, but just the fact that it beat out The Lord of the Rings for best costumes blew my mind. You know, you this like cast of thousands on that movie, and they all have to have orc armor on. And then in Moulin Rouge, it's like they already have like buildings full of those clothes. Like nobody had to make any of that stuff.
Fair point. Fair point. So is that your main stickler with that? Is just the fact that it
That's
really.
Yeah, a little bit.
So you annoyed
I
Thor
mean,
Ragnarok didn't get nominated for any?
no, I didn't think that was ever going to get nominated for anything. But I
Oh,
mean,
the
it's
hell
one
with
of my
that, dude.
favorite movies.
I want to know why no Marvel movie has never ever got nominated for at least best special effects. Actually, I think there was one that did.
They
Um,
got a couple of sound awards, I know.
wait, but how are you not getting best special effects and best costumes?
I don't know. I really don't know. I can't explain that one at all. And I guess you'd have to go back through the years to see what did win best effects and costumes. Because, but yeah, out of the 22, 24 movies that they have now, you think they would have picked up one or two.
I,
Especially after like Endgame.
Well, look, and how about this? I'll be like I said, man. I love Deadpool. I'll bring it up. Like they literally took a comic book, brought the costume from the comic to a film flawlessly. Best costume.
Hmm.
I don't give a shit. Oscar,
Well,
right there.
they nailed that character in that book so well in that first Deadpool movie that like that would have been a good candidate for best adapted screenplay. I think.
The only thing about that, and the reason I think it never would have, is because technically they're adapting so many parts that and I mean this is and the Oscars are going to be sticklers about this. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? They are. They're gonna be like, oh well, you blah blah blah, and it's not his real origin, and blah blah blah. It's you're bringing in characters that were brought in so much later in his life, and blah blah blah. You're throwing him into this, and I could never be on the Oscars committee because I'd probably smack half of them, being like, look, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Well, they
Um,
historically they just don't like superhero movies. They just don't. I don't know why. I mean,
I'll tell you why, in my opinion. It's because they all think it's taken away from something within the film community. I mean, how many directors have you
yeah.
seen from what Martin Scorsese, I know, said something about it, and I know there's a couple others I can't think of
Hmm.
off the top of my head, that were specifically like the comic book movie or the superhero films are ruining film. And to that, all I have to say is, are you all really stupid? Do you not understand how many comic book films are held up at high regard? And I bet y'all don't even know they're based on a fucking comic.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure that's true. And I think like part of the reason that they say that it's destroying the film industry is because, there's so much cool stuff to watch with these, like I'm willing to shell out some bucks to go watch Infinity War at the theater. I'm not paying anybody money to watch The Piano.
How about the Flash?
Uh, you know, I didn't like that Ezra Miller guy the first time that I saw him. And then it's all bad news with him. I've never heard anything good about that man. So, and
That's the
the DC movies in
understatement.
general.
Yeah,
Do
that's
what?
the understatement of the year, Randy.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to play nice, And but that I'm not that well read into all his controversies. I don't want to speak on it too much because I just don't know everything about. I don't read all that crap. But
My phone notified me of a lot of it for some reason. I don't know why.
yeah,
But
I
but a
kind of
lot of it, and I kind of
grooming a
read.
minor was enough for me, right? Like I heard that headline, and I was like, oh wow, I'm done with him.
Yeah, and then just the fact. Do you think that's what tanked the film? Do you think it was him?
I think it was a good part of it, but DC's, they're earning a reputation for like their movies have not been great. They just haven't. I mean, I really liked Wonder Woman a lot. I thought that was a great movie, and and I'm not sure if it's because I saw the theatrical release first, but I did like the Snyder cut of Justice League.
I agreed, because the theatrical release is terrible. The Snyder cut, I think, is a really good
Mm-hmm.
piece of film. I think it's a piece of film you have to watch in at least two parts.
It's so long. Yeah.
Because it should have been two parts. What in the holy hell? That's two films they've got there. I mean, seriously, it's a long movie. But so why did you list the Wolverine films as the worst comic book adaptations? Because man,
Because
1984 was terrible.
1984 was pretty bad. It really was. Well, Wolverine's like a special near and dear character to me. And so when I saw those movies, I was like, man, these, they could have been so much better, And I didn't like the casting of Hugh Jackman at first, but he grew on me. I thought I thought he was great in the role. And now it's hard to picture anybody else. But, it's just like I feel like they just wasted, a pretty talented actor on some of those movies. The Origins movie in particular was just a mess.
Look, I think it was Greg who shout out to Greg Elysia, man. Like we don't talk about that movie. That movie doesn't exist. Okay,
Doesn't exist.
it doesn't exist. That's literally
Mm-hmm.
like the only thing good that came out of that film is they cast Ryan Reynolds as Wade Wilson, and then he went on to be
Right.
like, and then he went on to be
Mm-hmm.
like, fuck it, and got the studio to agree to make a $10,000 test for Deadpool, and then it
Yeah. And
got
then leak it.
released by one of four people, and he swears it wasn't him.
Right. Nobody's buying it.
Yeah,
Mm.
and like I said, as somebody that's been a fan of Deadpool for I long before anybody thought Deadpool was cool, I was a fan of Deadpool. Um,
Yeah.
he brings that character to life flawlessly in
Mm-hmm.
so many
Yeah.
different ways.
That
Um,
test footage was brilliant too.
yeah,
It's just brilliant.
and nobody's buying the fact that he didn't tell somebody at least to release that footage. I don't
Mm-hmm.
give a right damn, man. But hey, wait a momentary pause. I just realized something. You can drink everything straight if you're dedicated enough, man.
I mean, I'm not that committed.
All right, well, back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry about that quick edit. Sometimes Factor forgets things, and he needs to make sure that he don't have to stop at a different point in the show. But I'm curious, man. And then one of the things you really wanted to get into, which is something we've got into the past in the show, is how much the industry has changed, especially based on the fact that you left in the early 2000s. Now you're
Hmm.
just getting back into it. And I mean, knowing what I know from just being a comic book fan for as long as I have, as well as talking to all the creators, you really left and then came back when there was a huge freaking change in how
Hmm.
things were done.
Yeah, things are very different now.
What was your opinion, man, as far as, I mean, from working in the early 2000s, which, I mean, crowdfunding wasn't that big,
Hmm.
to, to now, where I don't know how many comics are crowdfunded on a weekly basis or monthly basis. I know it's a lot. I mean, I've even seen art
Hmm.
books for Marvel. I mean, they weren't from Marvel; they were from a publisher for a couple of creators that were putting out books of their artwork from Marvel, getting crowdfunded. I mean, that's pretty much how Coffin Comics runs their company is through crowdfunding, and they do it successfully. Check out Mike McLean.
Hmm.
We've had him on the show. It's a pleasure. Um, what's that like to
Well,
see? I mean, to just step in with such a difference, man. Did it throw you off a little?
it threw me off a lot. I mean, a couple people suggested that they're like, "Yeah, you should get on Indiegogo or Kickstarter or something and put your comic on there." And I'm like, "I'm not doing that." And I didn't really know anything about it. And then like you go and you look, and there's something like 400 live comic projects at any one time on Kickstarter, and kind of an astonishing percentage of them are being successfully funded. I did not realize that. And I read like a headline recently. It said that there was something like the Kickstarter was like the #2 comic publisher in the world now, just by the volume of books that get put out through Kickstarter every year.
Seriously?
Yeah, yeah. I can't tell you where I read that because I don't remember, but yeah, I was kind of blown away by that. And the community is just so huge, and it wasn't anything like that. In the mid 2000s, even.
You just blew my mind a little, Randy. In all honesty, like I assume number one was Marvel.
I think it still is,
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I
but
mean, I would
but I don't
assume,
know.
and I say that because I think Marvel has really placed themselves at the number one more than anything with the fact that they were able to successfully put out the films like they have.
Hmm.
Where they've done everything they've got everything coming up. Why they used AI for the intro of Secret Invasion is not something I'm going to get into,
Or will we?
but it's the worst intro I've ever seen in my life.
I don't like it. I kind of understand why somebody who is maybe disconnected with the creative audience that they have might think it's a good idea, because the whole idea is that the scrolls are replacing humans with something
Look,
that's not quite human. But man,
no,
what a huge miscalculation.
no, that intro looks piss poor.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. That the whole post impressionism look that it has, and I don't understand the point of it when all the other intros look so good. You know,
There's your
yeah,
point
did it
right there.
like I don't think it was actually any cheaper to make. They used one of the same studio houses to make it.
You think they didn't
So
get a discount? If they didn't get a discount on that bullshit, they really fucked up.
I mean, I'd be curious, but
I would pray to God they got a discount on that fucking shit fucking intro. Um, make me pour a whole nother goddamn glass of whiskey on that fucking bullshit. I'm not even. That's terrible, man. I mean, especially when
yeah.
you compare it to one of like you said, your favorite comic book adaptation was WandaVision. Which why did you put House of M next to that? I'm curious.
No, there's a lot of parallels between. It's like I kind of feel like the storyline is basically leading into House of M. You know, disagree?
Wait. They gotta have mutants before they can do House of M.
Well, I mean, didn't they kind of make Monica Rambeau a mutant in that? I mean, they changed her body when she walked through Wanda's shield.
I don't know if they classified her as a mutant. I'm pretty sure the only people that
The
they've classified mutants in the MCU are Namor
hmm
and Miss Marvel.
I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah, Miss
Yeah.
Marvel and Namor are the only people that have been classified as mutants within the MCU. Short
Right.
of that,
Yeah.
they don't have any. I'm very curious to see what the shenanigans of Deadpool 3 are gonna do as far as
Oh yeah.
bringing.
I heard a rumor that most of that movie is going to be, like Deadpool and Wolverine jumping through the universes trying to get away from the TVA, and which I think would be hilarious.
Yeah, because I could see Deadpool just being like, "Would you guys just leave us alone?" and then just killing a bunch of them, and then
hmm
yeah,
Right.
it'll, yeah, it could be so well done. I mean, and based on how they've set up the incursions, with the end of Multiverse of Madness,
hmm
with Stephen Strange saying he calls an incursion. I mean, there's a lot of things they could do there in that regard as far as just putting everything together. I'm very curious to see where they're leading, especially since they're building up to Secret Wars. Have you read the most recent Secret Wars?
I have not.
Really?
I've not.
What they're doing in the MCU right now, as far as I can tell, is going to be more of an adaptation of the Secret Wars that they've just released, as opposed to the classic one. I'm sure there's going to be
Okay.
elements of the classic Secret Wars, but the Secret Wars that they released most recently, which I want to say was around 2005. I might be wrong, and I'm not grabbing it. It's behind me on my shelf. If y'all want to zoom in, it's right up here somewhere. All right. Um, but yeah, I mean, they got into that because it's ostensibly a bunch of incursions incur, and they contain a bunch of pieces of all those different worlds in one world with God Emperor Doom. I think the only thing that saddens me is I don't think you'll get God Emperor Doom in that, which I think would be very intriguing.
Hmm.
I mean, that's you've got to set up. Doom's, I think, one of those guys that the only reason the Fantastic Four films have never worked is because they never realized that's a Thanos level villain. You know,
Yeah.
Doctor Doom's not a,
Yeah.
hey, I came in the first film and we fought and then you kicked my ass. No, Doctor Doom's a guy that
Yeah.
just sits in the background and 3 films later shows up and is like, what? Magic and technology. And
I think
everybody
that's
loses.
I think that's something that the MCU is really suffering from right now is that the stakes are all way too high. You know, that's what made the MCU so popular right off the bat is you got these individual stories where the stakes weren't quite so high.
You don't think they're balancing that whatsoever?
I don't think they're doing a good enough job on it. It's like everything that I've watched lately, at a minimum, the entire world is in the balance. Like the Skrulls are going to wipe out the human race if they can. You know, in the current story, um, they were trying to keep Kang, from destroying all the universes in Ant-Man, and like the closest thing that we've seen to any kind of containment of scale was probably in Black Widow here recently.
That's true. Or
They were just trying to
the Hawkeye TV show.
do what now?
The Hawkeye
You
TV
broke up.
show.
Oh yeah, no, that one was great. That's probably it's one of my favorite shows. I love that.
Yeah, and how well they adapted Matt Fraction's storyline and how they took from that, even within the intro. Hey, and there's an example of a fantastic intro I want to point out is the intro for Hawkeye.
Yeah, and
So
yeah,
good.
what about this Echo show? I heard it's getting the Batgirl treatment.
I seen something about that, but then I heard that they were not going to do that. They were doing a bunch of reshoots in regards to it,
Yeah.
um, which I think is good. All right, man. Look, at least they ain't having to do what DC's doing right now. Like literally, they have like the next 2 films
Reboot the
coming
whole
out.
universe.
Yeah, yeah, they're having to reset their entire. They're having to do a Crisis on Infinite Earths and just reset their universe. And the film that they had to do it, they didn't even technically do it because, I mean, the Flash would have been on the film to would just fully reset and screw everything up and then recast everybody. Like, hey, Barry Allen screwed up so hard, the actor that is
Right.
playing him, that he screwed up the whole universe, you know? Because
For
now they
sure.
got Blue Beetle coming out and then the second
Mhm.
Aquaman. And I don't see either of those films doing well.
No, like Blue Beetle was kind of like, it really looked like they were trying to capture kind of a Spider-Man vibe out of it, when it maybe should have been more like an Iron Man kind of movie. And I mean, I was not blown away with the trailer. It looked funny. I'll give it that. It looked funny, but I'm not excited about it. And the Flash movie, one other thing that was a big turnoff about that too is like, I didn't read a bunch of the Flash, but like surely there was more stories than just Flashpoint, right?
Look, I'm not a big DC guy. There's probably 10 characters I could list off. I think we actually did this on a recent episode. I'm not even sure if it was this month in comics or if it was with somebody. Actually, I think it was on a quest. And there's about 10 comics within, or 10 characters within DC that I'm really a fan of, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're talking about the main members of the Justice League, it's two because I like the Flash, I like Green Lantern. You know, well, three because I like Hal and I like Hal Jordan and
What is that guy's name? I'm not a big DC guy either.
let's see, I'm not. Hold on. Hal Jordan. And, oh man,
I'll know it as soon as you say it out loud.
oh, I did. It's gonna escape me right now, and I'm not gonna be able to, man. But the original two Green Lanterns.
Guy Gardner?
Yeah. Huh?
Guy Gardner?
God, no. I
No?
don't know a damn thing about Guy. He was somebody that was brought in later. No, it's
Alan Scott. I'm Googling it.
Randy and I was just gonna be dead silence while we try and figure out who the fuck this other Green
Okay.
Lantern is.
Yeah. The Google machine says Alan Scott was first.
But there was Hal Jordan, and then
Somebody else.
oh damn, that annoys me because on a past
Simon
episode,
Baz?
no,
Jessica Cruz?
John Stewart
John Stewart from The Daily Show?
And Hal Jordan. And the Flash. So technically, within the Justice League, there are those three characters that I was a fan of, but two of them are Green Lanterns. So, I mean, whatever. But yeah, the Flash is someone that I was always a fan of. I've read a good chunk of the Flash, and yeah, Randy, there were plenty of other storylines to do with the Flash besides Flashpoint. I
Well, how
think
come every time I see Flash on the big screen, it's Flashpoint?
because I think DC's trying to fix a problem that they don't know how, and they figure they can reset things with Flashpoint, and it's just not working.
No.
I will say,
No,
for anyone out there that wants to see a good version of Flashpoint, the animated version of Flashpoint.
Yeah, man, they do great with their animated shows.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
No.
Yeah, you'd think they'd realize and just put those directors on the live action at this point.
Just do that.
Like, look, I know this guy was directing an animated movie, but would you just let him deal? I will say, I think they've made a good choice in James Gunn, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he can do no worse, that's for sure. But I like James Gunn, so I think he's going to do great there.
Yeah, I'm very curious to see what he turns out. I still just really want to see Lobo.
Why in the actual hell is Jason Momoa not Lobo?
And it's funny because this is a conversation that again has been had on past quests, Randy. And there's also rumors that he's gonna take on a second character. That
would be the one.
Yeah, dude.
He barely needs makeup for it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give him the skin complexion of Lobo and the red eyes,
red eyes and a big hook. Yeah,
and that's it. Like and Lobo's costume. and a big ass space bike.
Yeah.
And
Right. Which is.
and yeah, because he's literally he is built like Lobo. He has the same
Mhm.
hair as Lobo. He has the same facial structure as Lobo.
Yeah, and he's
I,
absolutely got the swagger for it. You know.
oh I that's a dream casting. Like I don't know why in the hell whoever cast him is Aquaman.
Yeah. Which I get, right? They wanted some big macho guy to play Aquaman. You know,
But that's
just
not
because of
Aquaman,
no.
you know? And I mean I don't care about like if you want to change his race or whatever, I don't give a shit. Right? I don't. Like when Michael Clark Duncan played the Kingpin, he was the best part of
Mhm.
that film. It wasn't a real good
Yeah.
Daredevil film for a number of other
No.
reasons. I mean, I think there were good points within it. I think Colin Farrell did very well as Bullseye, just being that crazy son of a bitch. You know,
Mhm.
I think, but I think they were handed a script that was inadequate, and so I don't think it's any of the
Yeah.
actors' fault that were in that film. Like, look, you shouldn't have had Daredevil and Elektra having a fucking fight at the goddamn playground. Like, do
Yeah, that was
yeah,
just bizarre.
yeah,
And the
like
whole the bench fight scene. Um, but yeah, you know, Ben Affleck was by far like, you know, he was so far removed from being the worst part of that movie, which really surprised me. I almost hoped Ben Affleck was going to be bad, but he wasn't.
no. The worst part of the Daredevil film was by far the script, man.
Hmm.
Like it was without yeah without it was the script. They had a terrible script. Everybody acting in that like they tried to put too much into it, you know, and I think that's a problem that a lot of early comic book films suffered. I think it's also a problem that obviously the DCU suffered with its early incarnation is they tried to just do too much at once. Which is another reason I'm looking forward to seeing what James Gunn has done because as far as in the DCU, uh, two stellar examples that are standouts in my opinion as far as for storyline and structure are the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. Have you watched Peacemaker?
Hmm. I have. I didn't know what to make of it at first, but the more I watched it, the more I liked it. You know, that was just and the cameos at the end of that were just the best.
Stop fucking fish. I'm sorry, that's the best DC line, or that's the best line in any DC movie ever. Is John Cena
Yeah,
stop fucking fish, and then just walking away, like
yeah,
not even caring beyond that, just walking away from it. Man, it was beautiful. I'll tell you, I wonder if DC wishes they could flash back to 15 years ago and know what they know now. Do
right. Um,
you think that's
yeah,
the
when you
first
say
time? Oh,
w-
go
when you
ahead.
say the Suicide Squad, you're talking about the second one, right? James
Yes.
Gunn's. So yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it was a far cry better. Yeah, way more fun, honestly.
Well, and it had that element of more of the Suicide Squad, in my opinion, as far as like there were characters that were just taken out by Amanda Waller, like with no regard, like oh
Hmm.
yeah, and
Right.
you're done,
Button.
like I mean, she was about to do it at the end of the film until they knocked her the hell out because Amanda Waller is
Yeah.
notoriously kind of a piece of shit, you know.
Yeah. And the fight scene in that between Peacemaker and Flag
Oh
was like, man, that was such a good part of that movie.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, I good stuff.
But man, I'll tell you, on the note of that, I do think you have a wish. I guarantee DC wishes they could make, which is can we just kick back a couple years and know what we know now and try and do this again, right? And I will
Hmm.
say that's intriguing, man. Out of every time I've seen people with that question with the three wishes, that like you've got an answer that I've seen one person say, "I wish my dog was immortal," and I was like, "Hold on, bro." Don't you just want your dog to live to your life? And you answered it
Right.
correctly. Like I want my dog to live
Yeah,
as
what
long as
happens
I
after
do.
you die? You know?
Yeah, yeah. See, that's a conversation I have with. I have to pull out their questionnaire. I don't remember all this shit. We're like almost 60 episodes deep yet. They're deep so far, and if you all expect me to remember all these questionnaires, you're out your mind. But there's a Patreon that's currently available that hopefully I've got like at least 20 of them on there by now. I'm trying to play fucking catch up, whatever. But as far as the restarting, why 15?
Um, I don't know. I think that's the age where like you high school still matters, you know, at that point. You have time to fix all the screw ups you did in high school and get good grades and get into a good college. So, you know, like why 15? I don't know. I feel like 12's too early. Maybe 18's later than I would like.
Now, see, I say 16 because that's where I got my license and I wrecked a lot. You know, I could have maybe
I mean,
avoided that concussion or two. And like, oh yeah, I shouldn't pull out right now because if I do, I'm going to blow this window out with my fucking head. And it's going to cause me issues later in life because they ain't going to diagnose it right because, you know, it was 20 years ago and people didn't pay as much attention to concussions. But I know for a fact, looking at it now, when it's like, hey, I'm here, and then I'm gone, and then I'm here, but I'm in a totally different location. Oh yeah, I had a fucking
oh,
concussion.
yeah, that's spooky, man.
It's one of the oddest memories I have, Randy. You know, as far as like, okay, I'm in a car. Okay, I'm in a hospital. Okay, I'm at home. No recollection how I got any of those places, and in no way, shape, or form was I drinking in that moment.
No.
You know,
At 16, who does that?
yeah, they were just fucking gone. And plenty of people drink at 16, Randy. This is America. Don't you know? The hell's wrong with you? So I'm curious, Matt, have you ever been out to a con to pitch all your comics? Either early in your
Uh,
career or like coming up?
yeah, it's been a number of years, but when we were doing the gaming art, you know, me and a friend of mine, we went up to Gen Con, which is a huge gaming con in Indianapolis, and yeah, we went up there a couple of times.
I'm aware, man. I'm in Indiana.
Yeah,
It's not that far.
yeah.
If I
But,
haven't heard of Gen Con, there's a damn problem with my level of
well,
nerddom based on the fact that I'm in Indiana. But I'll give you,
I
man, not
I
everybody
kind of
watching
assumed,
this.
you know,
Yeah.
I figured your viewers maybe hadn't, you know.
Well, my brother is very much into the. My brother got into all the gaming aspects of nerddom.
Hmm.
You know, playing the miniatures and playing the card games and all that. I was like, dude, just give me stories with cool art. That's all I ever wanted. So I very much went to the comic book aspect. So I mean, hell, he might have been there the year you were there. To be real honest, Randy, I wouldn't be fucking surprised. He's been going for years.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
a cool con. I'd go more if I could.
You got any interesting stories from that convention?
Um, I think like one of the funniest things that we had it was at the RCA Dome. Is that the name of it? The RCA Dome.
Yeah. Well, at the
And
time, I don't know what the hell is named now.
there's a big church across the street. It says it lists the time for mass on the front of the church on a sign up there. And it's like every day, every Sunday, but game day. And the sign just cracked me up because it's like that's the only thing that stops us from going to church is the football game. But no, as far as like great amazing stories, other than you know, getting pulled over and having our car searched for weed, which was one of the funnier things that happened.
Did you have
And
any?
I didn't have it, but the guy that was driving the car did. And he had this brilliant idea that he was going to hide his weed behind the headlight of the car under the hood. And, you know, he used to be so proud of himself that was his hiding spot. And we're standing there on the side of the road while they're searching the car. The first place they do is pop the hood and look behind the headlight. It was literally the first place that they looked. And they found it immediately. But then they went to the trunk, and like the trunk's full of like art prints and, you know, framed art portfolios just packed to the brim in the trunk. And they opened the trunk and they looked inside of it and had no interest in taking all that crap out. They just closed it.
So you should have put it in the trunk back in the back corner, and he would have been fine. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, yeah, but he thought he was like being super clever, hiding it behind the headlight, and Like the cops are like laughing about it. Like everybody does this. They all think they're so smart. I got a huge kick out of that.
So note to everyone wanting to hide weed. Don't hide it behind your headlight. That's
Don't do
apparently
that.
one of the first fucking places cops search. Oh my god. That's
Yeah.
I've never had a cop search my search in front of my headlight for herb.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I've never had my car searched. We were in his car. He got pulled over and searched. And what's worse was that later at the convention there was like these were like former playmates or something or whatever. And they go to my friend who's this long-haired hippie looking guy, and they ask him, and they're like, "Hey, buddy, do you know where we can find some weed?" And then I was really pissed at him. Then I was like, "You son of a." He's like, "We could have been smoking with these two, but no, you had to hide your shit behind the headlight."
I mean, I can understand. So no, your best story then from any convention is you almost got to smoke with some former playmates, but your
Yeah.
friend was a dumbass and hid the weed in a spot that he very much shouldn't have.
Yeah, that's probably the best one.
That's a pretty good convention story with a fairly sad ending for y'all. I ain't even gonna lie, man. Like, can I say, I gotta get into your question here one more time. I mean, like, God damn it, I don't even want to do it, but fuck it. Shout out to Fred Kennedy. I'm gonna, because if you watch his interview,
Okay.
this is where it ended. We were getting into Superman, and I was like, man, I hate that son of a bitch. Look, anybody that hates Superman was hurt at some point really bad, and they just couldn't recover from it, right? And I was like, look, this interview is over, Fred, and that's where it ends, right? We do what we do. So what happened to you, Randy?
What happened? Nothing happened to me. Because I don't like Superman.
Yeah, I just
Like,
that was
like,
something Fred went into, and he's like, man, you've been hurt
like
really bad at some point, haven't you? And I was like,
like,
look,
yeah,
Fred,
it was like,
this interview's over. I
like I'm gonna sit here like I was at camp and the priest walked in a Superman outfit.
oh
No,
Jesus,
it's nothing.
right?
It's nothing like that. No, I just think like the guy's like he's like so super powered and so perfect, and he just like everything about him's good. He doesn't really his flaw is that he's allergic to a green rock, and I just kind of feel like he's just kind of boring, right? He doesn't interest me. He doesn't have relatable problems, I don't think.
I will fully agree to that, man, and I still always stand by the fact I think Deadpool could kill him. You know why?
I mean,
I'll tell you why I
okay,
think Deadpool could kill him. Let me elaborate, Randy.
all right.
Because he would get a hit on Superman. He'd try and kill him a couple times. Every time Superman would end up whooping his ass, whatever. And it's Deadpool. He's gonna come back. He don't
Mm-hmm.
die, right? And eventually he's gonna find out. Oh, this green rock hurts this dude. All right, hold on. I'm gonna get a sword made of this green rock, and then I'm gonna encase it in lead, and then I'm gonna walk over to this asshole and I'm gonna cut his head off with it. And that's the end of Superman.
I mean, it could happen. I kind of feel like Superman would see that coming, and like leave. I mean, like
See,
seriously, it's like he's got super hearing, super vision,
okay,
super
let me
speed.
let me tell you why it would work. There's a reason Taskmaster can't figure out what Deadpool's gonna do next.
Because he's nuts.
So that's why he can convincingly walk up to Superman as a friend and then
Mm-hmm.
suddenly take his fucking head off
I
in
mean,
a moment that he was distracted. I am fully under the impression. I'm sorry, Deadpool could be the end of Clark Kent. Like Wade Wilson could take that son of a bitch out if he really wanted to. All
I
right.
mean, I like to envision that. Like I enjoy that visual in my head.
Maybe
But
that's my thing. Maybe I just really like the idea of Deadpool just walking up behind Superman and being like, "Hey," and Supes turns around and just,
right?
you know. It's like that was so much more satisfying than Doomsday beating him to death. Because now you know he's not coming back. Because look, his head is rolling over there.
Actually, I think if Deadpool was going to chop his head off, I think he would do it by disguising himself as Lois Lane and throwing himself out a window. And then chopping his head off when he comes to rescue him.
And this is why Deadpool can get away with it. Because you're right. He would probably come up with, because I could see it failing 2 or 3 times, him trying to get to the point where he was going to do it. And then he'd be like, screw it, I'm going to dress up as his girlfriend, man.
I would watch that movie. I would watch it. I'd pay for IMAX.
See, that's why, look, James Gunn needs to take my pitch for the new Superman movie, right? All right, now, hold on. Here, I've said it, I think, twice on the questionnaire. I'll give it to you one more time, Randy, right? So what you do is you just start out with Lobo just breaking shit in Metropolis, right? No reason. Just Lobo just breaking shit. And it better be Jason Momoa. Who else you going to cast, right? All right. And then whoever you cast as Superman, I think they actually cast somebody finally, shows up, and it's just like, hey, man, what's your problem? Lobo's like, get out of my way, right? Because, it's Lobo. And he's not there to negotiate. He's there to get whatever bounty he's there to collect. And he don't care what is in his way or what he destroys in the circle or in the events as far as him collecting his bounty. They end up in a huge fight, and then look, you get some screenwriter to write all this, James, if you're listening, right? And then in the long run, you find out that Lobo's there to get Brainiac, who's on some huge crazy scheme on Earth to take over the universe, and you have Superman and Lobo team up because they're like, oh, well, I'll help you get. Supes is like, I'll help you get rid of this dude because he's evil. Lobo's like, good, I want the money.
And Superman's down because he doesn't want the money.
Yeah. Superman's like, fine, I'll knock him out for you. We can put him in some, and you can take him and put him in some crazy ass space super jail and collect the money. And I don't care. I dealt with the evil, and you got your money. Everybody's good. And then you make it to where Lobo becomes that anti-hero in the DC universe at a very much Deadpool status, which in my opinion is something that would help them phenomenally.
Yeah, a good Lobo movie would go a long way to restoring people's faith in DC movies. I mean,
but imagine if that's how you introduced it, Randy.
Yeah,
in the
that'd
Superman
be great fun,
movie. Yeah,
I think a lot of people don't know who Lobo is, right? So yeah, you put him in Superman. So
yeah, it's like, who's this crazy? Is that Jason Momoa, right? And the fact if you got Jason Momoa to play it, it would be even more like, what the hell's going on here? Yeah, it would.
Why is Aquaman on a bike?
Yeah, exactly. It would intrigue people so bad. Why didn't you want to play rock paper scissors with me?
Do what?
Why didn't you want to play rock paper scissors with me?
I sensed a trap. I mean, I will, but I felt like why is this question here? What did I write down there? I'm trying to find it.
Stares back in silence out of pure spite.
Oh, that's right. No, what is it? The paper rock scissors, is that a thing on the show? Okay, I'm sorry.
Do you see the spite there?
I apologize. I didn't mean it.
Do you see the spite? Hey, look.
Okay.
In all sincerity,
I could feel it.
I was thinking about setting up a tournament to where I had everybody, go through with the questionnaires as far as from when that question was added. It's not on everyone's questionnaire because the questionnaire, as if you go and, give me $5 and pay for the Patreon, help support the show. Come on, y'all. You can see everybody's questionnaires, but it wasn't on the initial questionnaire. The questionnaire is modified over time. It's changed. I mean, like I said, I think it's 60 now episodes. I stopped keeping track. If y'all want to go onto the YouTube or Spotify or Audible or wherever and count them, that's entirely up to you. I have numbers on them at one point, but I only pay attention to where, I can keep shit organized. It's not for like, oh my god, I've done this many interviews. It's so I know where to put shit.
Oh, 1 second.
No,
Hey, knock it off.
I will
Sorry,
not. I
I've
will
got a blue
not.
healer and a German Shepherd that are trying to fight over here.
I will not knock it off. Oh, that's funny, man. I got a blue healer I had to take out before the show. Well, she's mostly blue healer. I had to take out before the show, man. Hey, look, we love animals on the show, but don't let them fight, bro. That's violent.
No, my boys hate each other. So, but yeah, they're sorted now. They're good.
See, look, like you said, man, words to live by. If it's not hurting you, leave it alone, right?
Leave it
So I
be.
don't know. Maybe we should stop picking on the DCU at that point.
But it is hurting me.
But
I'm
that's
wounded.
for real, because I want a good Flash movie. I want a good Lobo
I do
movie.
too.
I want a good Green Lantern movie. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
As a comic book fan, I want these things to be. I mean, look, they don't have to be like, oh my god, they're perfect adaptations. Yeah. That's like, I don't expect anyone in any comic book realm to take any comic book and adapt it perfectly. Because it's a different medium. You know,
but you could we could do better than poor, though, we could do better than poor. We could do better than 1984. People deserve better than that.
Everyone deserves better than 1984, man. That's why I'm amazed with what you've said during this interview. You did not answer a DC film, man. Because I'm telling you, if y'all go check out the Patreon, there's a link in the descriptions, as well as to the current Kickstarter that Randy's running. Make sure you check that out as well. You can check out the pre-show questionnaires. Most people have answered a DC film in some capacity.
Yeah, there's just not many that I like. I mean, and I'm not counting like the last trilogy of Batman movies. I did like those. The Christian Bale movies.
They were good. As well as, look, as much as part of me just going into it was like, this film's going to suck, the Batman was pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I can't.
I love the car. The car was my favorite part.
Yeah, I cannot complain about the Batman. I can't. Look, man, see your dog is fighting. Now you got my dog fucking acting a goddamn fool. Right? Look, though, sincerely, man, it's been a pleasure. Make sure you check out the links in the description. You can check out Randy's Kickstarter that he's running. They're gonna change it to where it's captioned and it says translating from Russian. He done told me that, right? He did.
Yeah, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
I'll put a little credit in there for you too.
I mean, hey man, all I ask is that you check out the QUESTionnaire podcast, right? Like, if you put that in there, shit, dude, I'll send you the logo and everything, man, and I consider that. Yeah, no, you ain't got to give me personally credit. You know what I mean? Just say, check this shit out. I went on this asshole's podcast, and he was a bit of a dick about my comic.
Nah, I mean, I didn't think you were. I thought it was good criticism. Yeah.
I mean, it is, like I said, Liz. That's my dog's name for anybody that knows, but I don't use it as no password anywhere. So sorry about that not helping you fucking hack anything. Shit. But, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the QUESTionnaire with Randy, right? Check it out. Like I said, links in the description to the current Kickstarter he's running. I highly recommend checking it out as long as they can tweak that one thing. Because, bro, that one thing fucks with me. I ain't gonna lie, bro. It fucked with me. And I'm telling you.
We'll take care of it. We're gonna fix
it. After I had that interview with that one dude who I was nice about his comic, and his comic was rightly fucking shit. It was shit. All right? It was shit. All right? And it was God, it was even
just
my wife.
Bad.
Huh?
It was just that bad.
Dude.
Yeah.
I will send you, if I fucking have it still, I will send you a goddamn copy Randy, and you can give me
Wow.
your I fucking shit you know. I don't think I kept copies of it on my computer. I don't need it even taking up a megabyte. It was that much shit. I'm not even
Wow.
kidding you. It was fucking. You ever read
1984 all over again.
you ever read something and felt like, God, that was a waste of fucking time?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just like you not getting that life back, that 10 minutes of your life or whatever.
Yeah, and then I had to interview the dude, and then he's all non-talk. I'm talking way too much shit about a past guest, right? But it don't matter because really he's not a past guest because that questionnaire don't exist, right? Every question we've been on,
No.
everyone has been a pleasure, including you, Randy. I want to let you know that, man. But
Hey, thank
that,
you, man. I had a good time too.
that doesn't mean at the end I'm not gonna get kind of mean, right? So I want to let you know if you've enjoyed
Mhm.
this interview with Randy, what I want you to do is I want you to send him a dragon, right? With the G.I. Joe hovercraft, right? And that was a badass toy, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
It was.
Good, excellent, excellent, excellent taste, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
Right, it really was,
That
man.
was a
So
great toy. It was awesome.
yeah, so a dragon, just carrying that old school G.I. Joe hovercraft. Now, if for some reason Randy don't change that shit into translated for Russian, or you haven't enjoyed this interview, right? What I want you to do is I want you to send him the Lorax,
Oh.
right? And I want you to have him just stacked with some really overcooked fried pork chops.
Oh.
Right? That's what I want you to do to Randy. Because, and again, that's only if one, you didn't enjoy this interview, or two, they didn't fix that shit.
I'm gonna get off of this Skype and I'm gonna fix it like right now.
uh, hey, but beyond that, like I said, make sure you check out all the links in the description. You can find their Kickstarter. You can find the Patreon for the questionnaire. So you can see all the answers that were given. See that he just didn't want to, he just wanted to stare in spite, didn't want to play rock, paper, scissors with me. God, man, it's not that serious, Randy. I'm telling you. Sean Damian Hill already beat everybody because he answered Rick. Okay? And
Oh
who's going to
wow.
be. Yeah, exactly. That's why I decided not to hold the tournament because Sean Damian Hill was like Rick. And I was like, oh. All right, then. I guess Sean wins the whole tournament without the tournament ever having to be in hell because I don't care if you answer Spock. I don't care if you answer The Rock as far as Dwayne Johnson. You're just you're losing, right? But beyond that, like I said, check out the links in the description. Like, subscribe, give it a notification as far as wherever you're listening, because we're a lot of places. Beyond that, get your Comic Con and have a good night, y'all.